This is a pound for pound boxing show in association with Dirty South and Boxing Hub Community. I'm Jermaine. I'm here with Darren Tetley. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, man. Thanks for taking the time to join me today.
It's all right. I mean, it's not like I'm rushed off my feet and doing all, is it?
Okay, Darren. Let's talk a bit about your career. So obviously, you're 20 and one.
21.
You're fighting. Yeah, you're 20 and one. You're fighting this Friday for the English welterweight title.
Yep.
I want to talk to you about how you first got into boxing and who's your boxing inspiration.
I started. I done a bit of kickboxing to begin with, but I was terrible. Didn't like it. And then I remember I was watching Rocky, which is pretty much like everyone that ends up starting boxing. I was watching Rocky 4. I remember sat on the settee with my mum and my stepdad, and I said, I looked at him and I said, "Oh, I'm going to do that," and they pissed themselves laughing, just laughed at me, and I was like, "I will." And then I went to the gym and went to the Carmen Centre in Bradford, and then never looked back, kind of thing. And growing up, I was always like Ricky Hatton is my favorite ever fighter, ever. Ricky Hatton.
Ricky is a legend, mate. Everyone loves Ricky. Obviously, had a fantastic career. Always took a crowd with everywhere he went. Just a legendary fighter, legendary British fighter.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was out how he was out of the ring as well. There was no arrogance, no bravado or anything like that. He was just him, and I like to think myself a little bit the same. I'm from a council estate in Bradford. That gets a lot of bad name, especially around here. So, I'm from the same background and stuff. So yeah, he's my favorite ever fighter.
Yeah. Obviously, you talk about Ricky Hatton. Is there a fight of his you really liked, or maybe captivated your attention?
I remember I remember watching it as I don't remember the first one I watched, but when my mum, when people used to watch DVDs and stuff when I was younger, she must have gone on eBay or something, and her and my stepdad bought me like DVDs of all his fights. I think it was like from his fourth fight or something. Then I've got the DVD of his life story. But I think for the fight wise, it's hard though. Obviously, there was so many that that you could look back on and think, well, that was really good. And I think the Castillo body shot, I think that was a massive win for him, and then that obviously led him to the Mayweather fight. So I'd probably say the Castillo fight.
Yeah. Obviously that was that Costa Zoo fight as well. Fantastic fight later on as well in his career.
Yeah,
Everyone talks about that. Fantastic
that
fight
was one that kind of
later
put
on.
him up.
Yeah.
Then I remember I think it was for the Central Area or English. A guy from Liverpool, Tommy, I think he was called. I can't think of his last name. Tommy Peacock, maybe. I remember watching that on DVD as well, and obviously the Costa Zoo fight for Ricky himself will probably be the one that stands out. That's when he was, he kind of won that, and then people realised then that, how much of a good fight he was. But I just think the finish for the Castillo fight, that body shot was just horrendous.
Fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine with that.
Yeah, Ricky was a fantastic fighter, absolute legend of the sport. I want to ask you. Obviously, I saw an interview with you what you've done recently, talking about obviously your background, where you come from, and that you want to obviously be an inspiration to young kids coming up by going on to win the English title. Obviously, you talk a bit about your younger days, probably getting a bit of trouble here and there. How important is it for you to go on and be an inspiration to young fighters coming up?
It's massive, I mean, like I said, the area where I grew up, Homewood in Bradford gets a lot of bad press, and in some ways rightly so. But there's a lot of good people there as well. And I remember as a teenager, I was getting in a lot of trouble, getting arrested. More having to come to the police station, sitting in interview rooms, and even I remember the one time I got home from training. I was only I think about 15, no, 15, 16 I was, and my mum rung me. Where are you? I said, I'm just coming home now. And she said, oh, there's someone here for you. And I said, who is it? And the copper come on the phone. There was four policemen waiting at my house for me to get home. So, I said to my mum, I said, well, I'm not coming home then. I says, what's the point coming home? And he basically got on the phone and said, listen, he says, come on. He says, because it's not going to end well if you don't. We're just going to come and find you. So I remember going home and there were 4 massive meathead police officers who stood there, and I was like, I said, 4 of yous for me. I was like 60 kilo at the time. I said, what does it take so many years for? And then they carted me out. So, I was one of them kids, and for me now already what I've done so far, 3 years after that, I was representing England at the Commonwealth Youth Games. So already, but I just think this English title, if I can win this now, and especially with the coronavirus and everything that's going on, and everyone's on a bit of a down mood and stuff, then I reckon, for Bradford and specifically Homewood, I think it could be a massive boost that they need.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great title to go on and win. And obviously, you talk about your where you come from, the background, and I'm sure for the city of Bradford, it'll be something to celebrate you going on to win an English title.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, there's kids everywhere that are doing no good. So it's not just specifically Bradford. It's just that's where I'm from, and a lot of the people that go down the wrong path or that are on the wrong path, I know them. I've known them since I was kids and stuff. So I think just if I can do this for them to watch it, and hopefully, like when I watched Rocky and I was like, I'm going to do that. Hopefully, they can do the same Friday night and be like, you know what, if he can do it, then why can't we? A lot of them I've spent time with in the gym, and I've seen them in gyms around Bradford and stuff. So hopefully, they can watch it and think, you know what, I'm going to do the same. And if I can help one, then it's better than helping none, I guess.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Another motivation what you mentioned is your trainer, Mick Marsden. Obviously, he's never got his hands on English title, and obviously, if you do go on to win it, it'll be his first as well. So, how much of a motivation is that for every day in training throughout camp to get the best out of you and go on to win it?
Yeah, that's massive. As boxers, we do it for ourselves as much as anyone else, but every boxer has people around them, or who they do stuff for. And I've been with Mick since I turned pro. I turned pro with Mick, and I've vowed and I've said, and I'll be with him till I call it a day. And I don't really like it when fighters get beat. They go to other trainers, and I'm not really that keen on that. To me, if you lose with a trainer, it's like, for example, I've been with Mick, I think 7 years. I think something like that. So I lost to the Liam Taylor fight. Who better to know what I done wrong there than someone I've spent 7 years with? If I go to another trainer, it's like, well, they don't know me. They don't know my temperament. They don't know, they just don't know me. So for me, it does annoy me a bit. So, he's had Central Area, British, European, world. So when you're in training and stuff, and that thought that I'm gonna be your first English champion, and then depending how long he keeps training lads, we've got lads coming through with the gym now who's ready to turn pro and stuff, but obviously with COVID they can't. And when all said and done, and I want Mick to be like, I remember my first English champion, Darren Tetley and stuff, and just you picture stuff in your head, obviously with fighting and stuff, and I just picture the moment I win, and just to look at his face, and I reckon he might actually smile. He doesn't smile much. He doesn't. He'll never do interviews. He'd never. He'll never get pictures taken. He just wants to be out the way, and I'm vowing that when I win this title, I'm getting a selfie with him, and he better smile.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I mean, obviously, he's being in the background, he's just letting his fighter get all the plaudits. But yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's great to have a coach and who's going to fully get behind you and get the best out of you. And obviously, you want to bring it home for him, which is very important.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And obviously because he's quiet and he doesn't, like I said, doesn't do interviews or anything like that. it's like he gets overlooked as a very good trainer. You know, I mean, what he's done speaks for himself. You know, Central Area, British, European, and world. He's trained all them and world champion. So, you know, for me, you know, he's one of the best trainers. He just because he's not in the limelight, he doesn't get the recognition that I think he should.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I agree with that. I want to talk about obviously your opponent, Samuel Antwi. He's 12-1. He's a welterweight. He's was a Southern Area champion as well. Do you know much about him? Have you seen much of his fights?
I'm not really a fighter that watches loads, you know, and that's not a disrespectful point of saying. I just don't really. I watch. I normally watch the first 10 seconds of a fight, first 30 seconds maybe, just to see how they're gonna look and stuff. And I mean, Mick, my trainer's watched them all, so you know we've got a game plan going into it. But it looks very awkward, very athletic. You know, obviously there's weakness there that we've spotted and what Mick spotted, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a very tough fight. But I think experience could be a massive factor in this, and just down to the little bits like, you know, this plumbing isolation stuff and fighting with no crowds. I've done it. I've already been there and I've done it. You know, I know what to expect. I know what's coming in the next few days and stuff. So I can kind of sit here and just relax, knowing what's going on, if that makes sense. And ultimately, I just believe I'm better than him. You know, I believe what I can bring to the table is better than what he's going to bring.
So obviously, you mentioned the fact that obviously there's going to be no spectators at the fight on Friday. Obviously, you boxed with no crowds before. He's probably boxed most of his type fights with crowds at like York Hall and stuff like that. So would you say that's a big advantage for you?
Yeah, I would, and you know, I'm not saying it'll have an effect on him because for all I know, he could get in the ring and it might not. But I think anyone that says it doesn't bother him or they're not bothered or it's just a fight, I think they're lying. Because you don't know until you get in there. You know, until you get to the venue and you see it. And you know, I remember like you just get there and you think it's a different atmosphere. You know, you're kind of in clinches with your opponents and you can hear each other really breathing and you know you just hear everything. And it's a very strange atmosphere and even been stuck in a room. You know, like I've been stuck in this room since about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I can't come out till tomorrow. And then even then tomorrow, I can go for a walk, but I can't go in any shop. I'm not allowed in any shop whatsoever. So you know, having that experience and knowing I've been through it once and stuff, and been away from home and stuff like that, I believe is could be a massive factor as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. Obviously, like I said, you're in a hotel for both fighters. It's not ideal, but yeah, it has to, like I said, it has to be done. But yeah, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, we've got like basically this division you're in. Welterweight division is domestically is hot at the moment. You've got lots
Yeah.
of yourself, Samuel. You got lots of Ekow Essuman, Conor Benn, Josh Kelly's fighting this weekend with Chris Kongo, Mikey Mckinson, Sam Gilley. The list goes on. Out of
Liam
those
Taylor.
fighters, yeah. Also, yeah.
I'm not mentioning.
Yeah. I mean, if you could, obviously not overlooking your opponent, but if you could look to fight one of these guys in the future, which one of those fighters I mentioned would you look like to fight?
I think, well, obviously any of them. You know, I love the Taylor rematch just because it was a really good fight. And I think a lot of people, any welterweight, would probably say Conor Benn. And it's funny because the reason I say that, and people might call me stupid or mad, but if I explain it, and if you understand when I explain it, it might make sense. Like, so you know, like in world boxing, middleweights want to fight Canelo because he's the money fight in the world. Obviously now Mayweather's packed in. Canelo's the money fight, and I think for us welterweights in this country, Conor Benn is that is that fight. Is out of all them welterweights, if you fought Conor Benn, that's probably the one you're going to get the most money for. So you know what I mean? So I think that's why all welterweights aim for him, personally. And obviously his lack of amateur background, but and everyone, when they say he lives in his dad's shadow and stuff, and I think that's where he got the platform at the beginning from that. But now I've done an interview the other day, and I think now he's kind of proven himself. Not that he needs me to say that, but I think he's out of his dad's shadow now, and he's fighting his own, and he's fighting, he's proving it. He's improving and stuff. But so I think you'd say Conor Benn just because that's probably where the money would be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have calling out Conor Benn. Some obviously they know that obviously he is a money fight. He sometimes doesn't react too well to people calling him out. Guys, they ignore it and stuff like that. But that's just the way it is. I mean, when you've got such a fighter with a name who's the legendary father like him, and then you've got like him who's got a big promotion behind him, fighter's going to want to get paid, and fighter's going to want to fight the guys on top at the moment.
Definitely, and boxing's now not really about who's the best, is it? It's just about who's got the bigger name, and in the welterweight in this country, at that level, British level and stuff, you probably would say Conor. So I can see why everyone wants to fight him. But it's funny because you always see people calling him out or stuff when he has an opponent already. Do you know what I mean? Like he's fighting Vargas now, and people might call him out. I think he's had other fights in the past when his opponent's been announced, and it's like, if you really want to fight someone, then do it when they don't have an opponent. Then, do you know what I mean? Like, why call somebody out who's got an opponent? Because then it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know it's not going to happen then because he's already got a fight, so it doesn't really make sense. Whereas maybe after his fight a week later or whatever like that, then speak for it. And like you say, Conor bites, so Conor will probably, his own self would probably try and make the fight anyway. But if you're going to call anybody out, do it when they don't have a fight announced, because it's a waste of time.
Do you think they called him out when he's not got a fight announced because they basically, I don't know, they know that's not really going to happen? They just do it just to prove a point, make it look like they want to fight.
Maybe to get their name out, yeah. I would imagine so. It doesn't make sense, does it? Calling someone out who has an opponent already. Why would you bother doing it? I'm not saying everyone does that. I'm not. People probably have called him out when he hasn't got an opponent, but cause I know for a fact if I went on Instagram now, tagged Conor Benn, and said I'll fight you, my phone would go crazy and my name would get out there. But that's not. I'm not that type of person. I don't really. I can't be bothered with that stuff like social media blooming. Well, I don't know what you call it. Hassle and stuff. It's like I've even now put a timer on my phone, where if I'm on Instagram or Twitter for more than half an hour a day, it locks me out of it.
I used to have that.
Yeah, it's on the iPhone screen time or something.
Yeah.
I just like now I'm locked out. I had to extend it for a minute to message you just to make sure everything was still on.
Appreciate that. Obviously, I want to ask you. There's some big fights coming up in the welterweight division this weekend, especially Florian Marcoux versus Ryland Charlton on the Matchroom show, and obviously the main event, David Avanesian versus Josh Kelly. How do you see both those fights going?
I think the Kelly and Avanesian fight. I've sparred Avanesian a few times. And listen, I'm not comparing myself to Josh Kelly or anything, but I just can't see Josh Kelly having the power to kind of keep him off. And I know his movement and his skill is unbelievable, and there's no questioning that. But I believe at some point in a 12-round fight, that slows down, and Avanesian is an unbelievable fight, and he's a lot better skillful than you think. You think he's just this strong, come forward puncher, but then when you get in with him and he's switching stances and he's doing really clever stuff, and then he when people talk about fighters going through gears, he goes through gears, and you can feel it and you can see it, both from the outside and the inside. So I just don't think, I just can't. I just don't think Josh Kelly will win. I do think Essuman will win. And if Kelly does win, I think it'll be what do you call it? Like a breakthrough performance. I think if he wins well and wins comfortable, and then that just kind of catapults him up to European world level. But me personally, I do think Essuman wins.
Okay.
And
obviously, the other fight.
See, I've seen some bits of both. I've seen Charlton versus Laws, and I've seen Marden fight when he saw. I actually got offered that fight, I think, but it was like 4 days' notice or something, and I was never going to make it.
Was that so? You got offered what fight? Sorry, I didn't, because obviously you had a bit of technical difficulty there.
The Marku fight.
Oh wow, against Stewart, was that the last fight out?
When he fought Stewart, yeah. Is that when he got a draw?
Yeah, when a draw, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they offered it to everyone, and I'm sure I think my name got mentioned as well. But there was no way on earth I was gonna make weight comfortable in 4. I don't know how the exact thing was, like 4 days or something like that. But everyone's gonna go on Marco's last performance, and I think it is a good fight. But I think it's a good fight because of both of their last performances is why it sounds like such a good fight. But I mean, you look at Joe Laws and Florian Marku. For me, Florian Marku is the better fighter. But I think it's a case of, I've never met Marku. I've never met Charlton either. But Marku seems very, very fights with emotion. He seems to get very annoyed and at certain stuff. If someone doesn't say something nice about him, I don't think he likes it. And I think that could be his undoing. Because he wants to impress everyone and wants to put massive performances on. And Charlton again is nothing to lose, and he looks strong as anything. Charlton, he looks really solid. And if I was to pick a winner, it's hard. It is an hard fight to pick. I'm gonna say Charlton. That's my prediction. And there's no thought process behind that. I'm just gonna say Charlton. On points, I think.
I've asked a lot of people that question, and a lot of people go for Florian Marku. So you probably got to be the first one who's actually got for Charlton in this one. So yeah.
I think he is a good fighter, and his background and speaks for itself. And I think he done MMA, did he?
Yeah.
But I just believe these days fighters only pick the fighter with the bigger name, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I think Florian Marku's got a hell of a bigger name than Ryan Charlton. So I think people are swayed onto picking him to win. And I do think that's why they do it. It's like I just put my names in a hat, pick it out, and that's who I think's going to win. I don't know. I wouldn't advise anyone to put money on it because I'm not that cracking at putting bets on. But I do think Charlton might just be that bit rugged and a bit raw, and kind of drag Marku into a fight. But it's going to depend on how Charlton handles his power as well.
Yeah, of course, it's going to be 2 great fights for me. I'm looking forward to that card, definitely. I want to ask you, obviously, a bit about the champions at welterweight. If they're like an ideal fight, if you could fight for a world title out of all the world champions at welterweight at the moment, which one would you pick?
So I have to pick who's the world champion now, you mean, yeah?
Or it could be now, it could be former world champions. If you could pick a fighter you would like to fight for a world title, who would you pick?
Who have we got? We've got Spence, Crawford.
Got Spence, Crawford. Now you got that Ugas guy. He's been elevated to to what weight out as well. Yeah.
So Spence, Crawford, Ugas.
I think that's about it, isn't it? Don't know if anyone else has got.
Crawford's got Spencer's got the IBF and WBC, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Has it? And then
Crawford's got WBO, I think.
And Ugas has got the WBA. Is that? I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think if you was going on, if you was going to pick it for your best chance of winning, you'd probably say Ugas. You know, out of Spence and Crawford, you know, you're going to struggle a little bit. But if it was like a fantasy thing and you really wanted to test yourself, I'd probably say Crawford, just for the skill, you know, the skill factor. And yeah, so I think Ugas, if someone says to come to me now, walked in this room and said, look, you've got Crawford, Spence, Ugas, you can fight for a world title, who do you want to fight? Probably say Ugas.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say that, to be honest.
And I think if they don't, I think they're probably lying.
Yeah.
I know, you know, you see fighter, nah, I want to prove myself, I want to fight the best. Fuck that. I just want to be a world champion. I'll have the weakest one. And I'll win a world title, get a big, massive payday. Then I'll worry about unifying it against one of them two animals.
Another couple of questions I want to ask you before I let you go is obviously the fight was everybody's been waiting for to happen. Everyone's still waiting for it to get materialized. Is Andy Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Obviously, if this fight was to happen, who do you see winning this fight?
Tyson Fury, I think, and that's from a boxing thing. Like, I do believe Tyson Fury has the tools to beat him. You know, granted, Joshua's technically a lot better than Wilder. But I just believe, in a way, some stuff Tyson says is actually pretty true. You know, Joshua's a very good and a very effective, but he is upright. He is, you know, the basic textbook boxer. You know, and I think if you were preparing for that, you could find a lot of people that could half mimic Joshua. Not to that level. By nowhere, I don't mean by nowhere to that level, but I just think they could mimic the style a little bit. Whereas Fury, I mean, who you follow boxing and stuff? If you had a guy fighting Fury, who would you get? Who would you find sparring partners? Who would you pick?
I don't think you can find anyone, if I'm honest. Who moves like him? There's no heavyweight who moves like him. There's no cruiserweight even moves like him.
If you were sparring for Joshua, you could be like, you know, Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce maybe, because he's strong and comes forward. You know, I mean, Fabio Wardley's friends, so they'd never do that. But, you know, style-wise, you can find some. Fury, I mean, off the top of your head, I'd say the closest one to mimic the style, and it's nowhere near, would probably be Fabio Wardley. You know, he's a bit relaxed and a bit of a boxer, but I wouldn't know how you prepare for someone like Fury.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I really do hope this fight does happen. There's going to be a cracking fight. Obviously, they can get two fights on. It'll be even more better for. Hopefully, the second one, maybe in the UK, will be massive for British boxing.
Yeah, I hope it comes off, but I hope it comes off after COVID. You know, when full crowds are. I don't think it'll have the same effect if no crowds there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if it is somewhere not in the UK, then obviously, hopefully, if the COVID's obviously been gone out of the way, then obviously fans might be able to travel as well. Travel restrictions might change as well, so fans might be able to still attend the fight by traveling to another country and watching it.
Yeah, which obviously for the hardcore fans that's brilliant, but I just think the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing and two British guys, you'd love to see it in Britain. I don't think you want to see it, and I wouldn't want to see it anywhere else.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, before I let you go, I'm gonna move on to your fight this week. This Friday.
Yeah.
massive English welterweight title fight. Darren, I want to ask you: have you got a message for your supporters and your opponent going into this fight?
Yeah, I just want to obviously massive thanks to everyone who wishes me luck and who sends messages of good luck, and just everyone who's supporting me back at home. I say back home like I'm miles away. At home, I thank you to my wife as well. She cooks my food and weighs every grain of rice out that I eat, and I couldn't do it without her. And I don't have a message for Sam. I don't do that stuff. I'm not into it. I'd say I'll see you Friday, but I won't. I'll probably see him tomorrow at the weigh-in as well. So I'll see you tomorrow, Sam. That's all I'm gonna say.
Brilliant, Darren. Absolute pleasure talking to you. I wish you all the best for Friday, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
100%, mate. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Take care now. Bye bye.
See you soon. Bye.